Well, a very good evening, and thanks for clicking on to Vogan's European Outlook. Sunday, the 27th of February. In yesterday's video, I was speaking about the potential for sudden stratospheric warming according to the GFS model. And in today's video, I want to show you the ECMWF weeklies because they're rather intriguing as well with regards to that very same type of solution. But before we get to the sudden stratospheric warming, because even if it does take place, we're still talking, 3-4 weeks after the event. If it was to happen, you're talking 3 to 4 weeks before you start seeing the result of that. If you do get the result of that, if you get the coupling between stratosphere and troposphere, but there is a few interesting things going on at the moment that I want to look at first. The Madden-Julian oscillation has been fairly weak in recent times. Very little influence on the global pattern, but it does look as if we are starting to see the influence of the Madden-Julian oscillation becoming back into play once again, and it looks as if we're going to go from phases, kind of phase 3, which has been stuck in the Indian Ocean. That has been kind of leading to a kind of non-driver, if you will, with regards to the mid and high latitude pattern. But as we go through the next couple of weeks, it looks as if the Madden-Julian oscillation is going to ramp up. It's also going to start to progress by the looks of it from phase 3 into phase 4, into phase 5, and possibly even into phase 6. Now, by the time it reaches phase 6, it could end up, taking us into the time frame of mid-March, and based on both the Madden-Julian oscillation and the possibility of a sudden stratospheric warming, it could really set the stage for something very interesting towards the end of March and into April with regards to colder than normal conditions here. A long way to go, but it is interesting what we're seeing in terms of the model. I believe we're already seeing a change in the pattern quite significantly. We're starting to see a slowdown in the westerlies. We're also seeing the buildup of high pressure. So once you start to lose the strength of the jet stream, that allows the atmosphere to start building pressure. When you've got a very strong west to east upper level wind, that kind of suppresses the jet stream into the mid latitude region, into the kind of mid to low latitudes. But when you start losing the strength of that westerly flow aloft, that kind of allows the encouragement of pressure to build northwards. And with time, it looks as if that the heights are starting to come up over the Arctic region. Over the last 3-4 weeks solidly, we've had a very strong polar vortex that has been coupled between the stratosphere down into the troposphere, driving the very powerful jet stream winds throughout the northern hemisphere and suppressing high pressure to the south and keeping low pressure strong to the north. But we're starting to see the change take place. We're starting to see the oranges and reds representing above normal pressure at 500 millibar, now starting to push towards the Arctic region, and that could be the signs, the early indicators of a significant change as we go forward. So one of the warmest Februaries, without a doubt, certainly for the European continent, if not for the UK, is about to come to a close. And the question is, of course, what do we see as we go into the spring season? March, April, and May, of course, being meteorological spring. My hunch is that it could be quite a cold spring and a nagging spring. Don't get winter during the winter season. Do we then get it at the time of the year that you don't want it? That's very much on the table. But of course, my winter forecast was a bust, so therefore take this somewhat with a pinch of salt. So we are seeing the migration of the Madden-Julian oscillation, the enhanced convective energy circling the tropical latitudes. That looks as if it's going to enhance it through the continental maritime region and possibly eventually into the Western Pacific here, and that then drives above normal pressure within the Arctic region. So in essence, the Arctic Oscillation may go somewhat negative. No real massive indications that the North Atlantic Oscillation is going to go negative, but it will be interesting to see as we go forward here. So let's have a quick look at the GFS ensemble first, and then we'll look at the ECMWF weeklies regarding the 10 HPA temperatures and the flip that they are starting to indicate. So upcoming 5 days, as you can see here, we are seeing those above normal heights poking their nose into the northern portions of the hemisphere. And like I say, we've not seen that in quite some time. We're seeing a big negative here over the Baffin Straits. Of course, that would still indicate that we continue to drive the positive North Atlantic Oscillation. But we are starting to see high pressure, interestingly, starting to show up over Scandinavia. And the longer range models have that kind of maintaining itself. Now, of course, the question is, do we see that area of high pressure continue to build northwards? If it does so, it may open the possibility to easterly winds undercutting that area of high pressure, dragging cold air westwards and towards the UK. So something worth keeping an eye on as we go forward here. I think we're going to be marginally average to below average, I think, as we go through the first at least 10 days of March. This is the 6 to 10 day period, by the way. Still a positive North Atlantic Oscillation signal, but notice that we've got a ridge of high pressure over Scandinavia. We've also got a lot of ridging extending really in a kind of triangle here between eastern Siberia, linking up with the Scandinavian ridge, and also we've got ridging over North America. The focus of it being over the Gulf of Alaska, actually. But you kind of ask yourself, maybe a kind of link up in these kind of three centered areas of high pressure, which is quite interesting. Of course, you get that, maybe even start to get ridging more over Greenland. That may shift the trough over Western North America towards the east, and the trough over the North Atlantic towards the UK. So we'll keep our eyes on that as we go forward here. And even the 11 to 15 day, you can see here what's going on. Could argue that the trough on the GFS ensemble is trying to kind of push eastwards over North America and possibly kind of eastwards over the UK. And you could argue that we might start getting more ridging over Greenland here. So we'll wait and see what happens anyway. But certainly high pressure, I think, overall is going to be a driving force as we go through the first half of March. And we'll keep our eyes on that here. So ECMWF weeklies. This is the 10 HPA temperature anomaly chart here. So this is the Arctic view looking straight down over top of the over the pole. UK down here, North America, Asia here. So this is the upcoming 5 day period. You can see here it is firmly colder than normal, strong. Watch what happens as we go through the next 7 day period. Wow. That is, if it happens, that is, folks, is a sudden stratospheric warming, and that could lead to some very interesting things as we go forward. Now remember, I showed you the GFS. It was indicating strong warming, Siberia, right over the top of the pole, in over Greenland, and the ECMWF weeklies are seeing the same type of thing. This, folks, would certainly be a hammer blow to what has been a very powerful polar vortex so far. We could get one last gasp attempt at kind of destroying this polar vortex that has been the bugbear of the winter, the winter forecast. This certainly is very, very interesting indeed. Now, if this happens, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're guaranteed to get colder weather later down the road. We need to see the transfer of energy from 10 HPA right up at the top of the stratosphere, down in through the different layers of the atmosphere, down to 50 HPA, which is the lower portion of the stratosphere, and then the coupling with the troposphere. And of course, the troposphere is what drives our weather. That is where we get our weather from. And it's really from about 500 millibars, 20,000 feet-ish, down to the surface. That's what matters. So you could get a solid, bona fide sudden stratospheric warming, a jump of 40 to 60 degrees Celsius over a couple of day period. But you need to get the downward transfer, that kind of coupling taking place into the troposphere, which, by the way, has been super cold in recent times over the northern hemisphere here. So there's a lot of work to do within the atmosphere to try and change this pattern. The problem that we've got is that this is going to happen at a time where you're not going to get maximum cold. If we do get it, it's going to make for some pretty darn chilly days. Like I said in yesterday's video, late snowfall, heavy frosts, possibly record cold temperatures. That's on the table, but we have a long way to go here. But certainly, what a contrast, what a difference between week 1 and week 2 of the ECMWF weeklies here. Even week 3, still see the strong warming over top of the Arctic, and even week 4, we're seeing that warming taking place as well here. So certainly going to be interesting as we go through the month of March. Like I say, anything over the next couple of weeks is going to be marginal. It would be through the influence of the Madden-Julian oscillation, not a sudden stratospheric warming. There is a delay of 2 to as much as 4 weeks after a sudden stratospheric warming before you would get the influence of that. But certainly a lot of things on the table with regards to some very interesting weather as we go in through the spring season. So keep it right here on YouTube as always. I do hope you enjoyed the video. I do hope you enjoyed your weekend. And of course, like, share, and subscribe. And always hit the bell for the latest notifications of each upload. Hopefully, I'll be back again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.